Hey guys, it's your boy MKS here, back with another video. And recently I was thinking, hopefully every Thursday I can do videos like this to talk about my political goals. So I'm hoping to do that every Thursday if I get around to it and if I get the opportunity to from today. A while back I had an idea called the MKSP International, or internationally, which is stands for the Michael Coach-Shenton Political Party International, because I'm an internationalist and globalist and things like that, I suppose, if that's the right way of putting it. Or I'm not really patriotic. I'm not that patriotic. So anyway, but my ideas are to try and benefit people around the world. But so again, hopefully every Thursday, all being well, I'll be able to discuss my political goals and dreams. And I suppose really could say everything's sort of political, but yeah, so I don't know if I should give my full name out there, but I already kind of have done so. But anyway, hopefully it won't come back to bite me in the future. But I'll try not to waffle too much. And as ever, I would love to have your feedback and support generally. And any new subscribers, if I get any, please let me know so I can return the favor perhaps and subscribe to you back and support your channel the same way if you support mine. Anyway, so here goes without further ado. So number one, I would love to look at how to organize my thoughts and start making videos like this and planning and talking about my political aspirations, ideas and thoughts and opinions in the most honest way possible, and look at ways perhaps to how I can look at ways I can put them into practice, put them into action perhaps, and see what I can do with my ideas, like through lobby groups or whatever. What are the best ways to go into the future if I can actually finally one day set up the MKSP internationally. I'd love to actually set up in Turkey, because Turkey is probably one of my favorite countries, if not my favorite country in the world, because it's like Eurasian, and I look Turkish as well, so and that sort of thing. So, and I see Turkey as like the national version of Eurasians like myself, like Anglo-Indians, that sort of thing. But anyway, moving on. Number two, after getting started, hopefully I'll learn as much as I can about politics, including how to network people, about lobbies and how lobbies work, and hopefully open my mind to learn as much as I can about politics and how it works and things like that. Number three, I'd love to be an advocate of libertarianism, free speech, freedom of expression as much as possible. I know there's always, even I think there's limits to freedom, or freedom of speech, freedom of expression and things like that. But I think there should be as much freedom of speech and freedom of expression and freedom to disagree. As long as you don't advocate for violence or law breaking, I think you should be able to say pretty much what you want, I suppose, in a way, as long as it's not too racist or as long as it doesn't advocate for violence or things like that. And also, like me personally, I love to be as free as possible, so I hope to afford other people the same privilege, if you like, or the same rights at least, and treat other people as wish to be treated, which would be part of that. And I'd love to have to be honest, deregulation of industries, and things like that. Less rules, less laws, as few rules, more laws as possible. Obviously, we do need some rules and strict laws, but in the future, I hope to talk about the only rules I really believe in, and how I believe in limited government, more freedom, more choices, lowest possible taxes, especially for people of color, POC. In fact, if it was up to me, like people of color in the West would be tax exempt and be able to invest that money back. It would be like a form of reparation, basically, and maybe even we can give at least half of that back to our ancestral homelands, although half we could give back to the country, our host nation, if you like towards, like here in the UK, we have the NHS, so maybe people of color still want to sort of contribute to things like that. I don't think we should join the military or things like that, if I'm honest. And I know it's a controversial opinion I often talk about before, but yeah, so but basically I'd love to have as much freedom as possible, and again, lowest possible taxes, especially for people of color or disadvantaged groups like people, disabled people or other groups, but as much freedom as possible. And again, less rules and laws. To be honest, another controversial thing, I'm quite pro-business in many ways, although I've never run a business myself, but I'm quite interested in how business works. But again, on the subject of freedom, like to me, I think government should stay out of business as much as possible. I think a business only has a few responsibilities. One is to not to put its staff in undue danger. I take things literally, so the company can't, or businesses can't always guarantee their staff's safety, but I don't think they should put them in undue danger or unnecessary danger, and also to pay their wages on time. But I think companies should only have to pay for Sorry about that. I was just seeing that it looked like my internet connection was down. I think companies should only have to pay for the hours people work and things like that. But yeah, so anyway, I don't want to wow too much on that point, but yeah, the lowest possible taxes, deregulation, and especially for people of colour as form of reparations, like to be tax exempt, and we could give at least half of that money back to our ancestral homelands. I don't think we should pay. I think also pacifists should be able to not have to pay for militaries or militarism. I know that's a controversial issue, especially right now. Anyway, moving on. Number 4. In the past, I talked about the 4, which I changed to the 6, but there's another group of 4 group of countries even that I would love to bring together politically, which are Eurasian nations and transcontinental countries generally. I'll class them separately, even though Eurasian nations are also transcontinental. The Mideast and Mediterranean to sort of network together on peace and cooperation and making the world a more peaceful place and that sort of thing, as well as Malaysia, India, Indonesia, and Singapore. And I have an acronym for that, which is MIIS. So I normally like these patterns and things like that. But I'd love for those groups I talked about, Eurasian, transcontinental, Middle East, and Mediterranean countries, and Malaysia, India, Indonesia, and Singapore to work together towards making peace and diplomacy. I think it'd be great if countries like Turkey, again, Eurasian, transcontinental, Middle Eastern, and Mediterranean countries, nations, whatever you want to call them, could facilitate peace between countries like Russia and Ukraine at the moment. Like how hopefully they can somehow make a negotiation of peace and maybe like end this conflict and talk about what both sides want, and maybe there could be some sort of agreement which would stop Russia from attacking Ukraine. Like, for instance, it could be certain rockets or weapons are taken out so that it makes the Russians feel more comfortable, and also sanctions are dropped in return, though, but they've got to stop attacking the Ukraine at the same time, which I think would be really important to save lots of people from death and destruction and injury and things like that. So it'd be great to make peace. Number 5, I think it would also be great if the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa all came together to sort of work a way to make peace. And again, maybe there could be a condition like to get rid of the sanctions in return for making peace between them, and look at what Russia would want and what the West or Ukraine or whoever else would want to make them comfortable. So hopefully you can limit these wars or as much as possible, all being well, as someone who stands for peace. And most of my policies would hopefully be about peace, generally speaking. And giving people freedom and human rights and things like that. Number 6, also, sorry, I forgot to mention like the Celtic countries, Ireland, I think, not sure if Scotland is classed as a Celtic country, but the 8 nations or countries, whatever you want to call them, which are Celtic, I know Ireland is one of them, to come together to also make peace. And also Italy, obviously, as a Mediterranean country, would be included in that. And as a result, hopefully, hopefully the sanctions can be dropped, and as many people countries and companies and even entire countries can invest in Italian football. And I think it's football and sport generally, as well as pretty much everything has some form of politics. Everything's politics, as I say, in a way, or pretty much everything in our world, from the price that we pay of things to all sorts of things like that. So they say if you don't discuss politics, it's very difficult because it's sort of everywhere around us. But I think everyone should have their own political views, whether they agree with me or disagree with me or whatever. And I'm sure there's lots of things I can learn in the future as well. But yeah, so I think it'd be great if, as a result, like whole entire countries invest in Italian football, and that would make us even bigger than Man City or PSG or company or club teams like that, as football is a business. So technically they are also companies. Sorry if I'm waffling. Number 7, I also dream for if Celtic fans also work towards making peace, or Celtic countries, then Celtic countries themselves and others can invest in Celtic as well, so Italian football. Number 8, I would love to look into how Italian football and Celtic can train together for their own mutual benefit, but also how they can fundraise for charity and peace initiatives, and giving things like games and toys, stationery and things like that towards, or educational materials for children caught up in war zones, maybe even as a symbol of peace, like even to give to the poor in both Russia and Ukraine as well as around the world. And yeah, just to work together both in terms of football and training and all that, but also in terms of supporting people around the world. Number 9, I hope that I'll be able to express my ideas as well as possible and work together with lobbyists and others, especially people of colour, and talk about my own political views. Again, not everyone will agree, but these are my own personal views, and over time, hopefully, I'll be able to discuss as many of them as possible in the most honest and open way. And number 10, hopefully supporting young people and the youth, basically, especially in developing nations or former colonies like parts of Africa and Asia, and also who have been afflicted by war, and also like animal rights and protections and human rights and protections and things like that. And remember my train of thought. So please let me know what you think, and any ideas or any points that you disagree with or agreed with, or any questions you have, I think you didn't perhaps understand, and wish I could remember my train of thought. But I think the youth are a large part of the future, so it's important to empower them. If we want to see Africa develop, for those who want to see Africa develop, I think it's important to support the youth, including like giving technology to people across Africa and things like that. And anyway, I'm out. Peace out.